Hey there, Wargamers, and welcome back to another Wargames Delivered video. Be sure to visit us at wargamesdelivered.com to get the paints, miniatures, and supplies used in this video, and also to refer a friend. You guys will both get a $15 discount, and with that, let's get into the video. In this video, we'll be speed painting Tyrion Lannister from the A Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game, covering the basic steps required to paint this miniature to a battle-ready standard. And the first step, as always, is to prepare your miniature for painting. This involves cleaning any mold lines that may be present on the model. Use a hobby knife or a file to gently scrape away any imperfections on the surface of the miniature. And when you're priming your minis, be sure to apply the primer in thin, even coats, ensuring that the entire surface of the miniature is covered. And here in the first step, we're using Grim Black. We're using this to paint the boots and his belt, and if you do make any mistakes here, just wait until the paint is dry and try to recreate your base color with acrylics as best as you can to clean it up later. Tyrion in the game is a non-combat unit, meaning he acts on the tactics board to influence the battle in the Lannisters' favor. Tyrion allows the player to increase their tactics card hand size by 1, allowing you to stay one step ahead of your opponent. I really like this mechanic because it really mirrors Tyrion's strengths in the books. And next up, we're going to paint the pants and the sleeves of his undershirt with Slaughter Red. I like using multiple reds on my Lannister units to mix the color scheme up a bit and add some depth. For any really new beginners, speed paints are an excellent way to paint your minis because they look great and get the job done really quickly, but they can also take a little extra time working around areas that are very kind of finicky, like the sleeves here on the model. So it'll always look better if you don't have to clean up, so just try to take your time and be really patient with the paint. Sometimes it's also best to use different brushes for smaller areas as well. Speed paints work great with large brushes, but if you feel like you'll stain another area with a strong color, be sure to switch to a smaller brush for those harder to reach spots. For anyone interested, we have a unique promotion for all of the Army Painter paint lines over on our website at Wargames Delivered at the moment, where if you buy 6 paints, you'll get 3 for free of your choice with your order. There's a link for this promotion in the description below. And now we'll switch over to a brighter red to block in the main area of Tyrion's tunic, using Poppy Red here. This color is one of my favorite reds in the new speed paint line and has a lot of versatility in its uses. You may notice at this stage, Tyrion kind of looks like Santa Claus at the moment, but that's okay. That means we're headed in the right direction. The gold that we'll add later on in the video will really tie the Lannister paint scheme together and unify the mini. We also have a pre-order available for the Speed Paint Complete set if you want to try any of these paints out when this releases. The Mega set is available on our site at the moment, but if you'd like the Complete set, that releases on May the 27th. There will be a link for that in the description below as well. And with those reds dry, we can move on to painting some more smaller details with our speed paints. Here we're using Peachy Flesh to paint the face and the hands on Tyrion. I used this without any medium since I wanted his skin to read a bit more tan than my Stark units. Tyrion is from a bit of a more southern region in Westeros, so I wanted to reflect that on the battlefield with slight variations in skin tone on different armies. And very quickly, using Murder Scene here to paint the wine in his goblet. I wanted this a bit darker, so I used 2 coats to get a quick dark liquid effect. And for our last speed paint step, we're going to use Ancient Honey, which is a great golden yellow. And we're going to block in his hair with this paint. Like with the other paints, I'm using this straight out of the bottle, and I also loaded my paint up pretty thick on my brush because this paint creates really nice shadows on its own. One thing to keep in mind doing this step is just be careful around the skin that we already painted. This color can change the tone of the Peachy Flesh we put down in the previous step. And for our last few steps, we'll switch over to the metallic line to paint all of the trimming on his clothes, using bright gold on all of these areas. Treat this paint just like a normal acrylic and thin them down with a bit of water. You will need to paint 2 thin coats over all of the trimming to really get a nice even finish. When you're painting trim, try to keep your brush at about a 90-degree angle and use the side of your brush to catch those raised details. This is the best way that I've found to avoid making any mistakes on the actual tunic itself. Take your time with this step and be extra careful to avoid any mistakes. Pure Red from the Army Painter acrylic line is a great paint to clean up on top of Poppy Red if needed. And now using dark tone from the wash line, we're going to do some line washing here. This is a great way to add some shadows without having to wash the entire mini. Sometimes a full wash can compromise the color from your speed paints, so this is the best way to establish shadows on your mini that I've found. Just like with the metallics, work slowly and try to avoid making any mistakes. Usually washes will sink into the recesses on their own. Just make sure that you don't have too much on your brush because it is easy to lose control of your washes. And lastly, we will quickly paint the goblet using True Copper for a nice orange brass finish. I wanted to use a different shade of metallic here from the trim, while also representing the wealth and kind of poshness of House Lannister. Once you're finished with the True Copper, you can also switch back to dark tone for a moment and add some shadows there to the goblet. And with that, you have a tabletop-ready miniature of Tyrion Lannister from the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. With a little practice and patience, anyone can create a tabletop standard miniature with just a few paints and a couple tricks. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more painting tutorials, and also be sure to check out the top link in the description for the giveaway attached to this video. Thanks again, and happy wargaming!